I think we played well. It's difficult breaking down a back five the whole game, but yeah, we played well. With these matches, it's a mental game. We have to come out and try to score the goal pretty early, and then we kill the game. But I'm happy that we're able to push for the win after they tie the game, and I think that's the most important thing.
And what did you learn from these two legs, and what are you hoping that will translate it back into MLS?
Sorry, what did I learn from these two legs?
Yeah.
To be honest, we kind of experienced this in the Champions League where we tied the game where we went down and we had to push for a result. And yeah, I think we're an experienced group. This I can't say much, but this group been together for a very long time, and I think that's one of the reasons why we can come back in these games, and we know that we're able to bounce back.
Jayden, it seemed like a bit of a frustrating time for you and the attacking lineup because of the nature of Valor defending so deep. How do you sort of stay composed in those moments, especially when it's kind of an onslaught of trying to break down this really, really compact low
Yeah.
block?
Yeah, in these type of games, you have to move the ball fast, and you know, we know that they're gonna play a deep block, and when we see the pictures that we want, we have to act on it quickly and in a good pace so they can't react. And I think today we could add more opportunities to do that. But yeah, that's what you could probably say it was frustrating for us. But yeah, all in all, when we did have the moments, we found good pictures where we could accelerate the game, and it was good.
And then just on the kind of CPL, what you've seen, what you've played against so far this season, what have you made about the level of the CPL and the CPL teams that have played against you so far?
That's good. It's good, honestly. Um, my time with the national team, we had a little stint in Halifax where I got to see like the pitches and stuff like that. Where, I think that's the one thing that we're missing, a lot of turf pitches and whatnot. If we have some grass pitches like Halifax, would be good. But yeah, I think the level is pretty good, and it's growing, and a lot of young players are coming through the CPL, which we need. And yeah, it's amazing. It's another pathway for Canadian players.
Jim? I'm sorry, and I know you just finished this game.
Hmm.
You play again Saturday in
Mm.
Colorado. Your thoughts about
Yeah.
going into there?
Yeah, for us, this next stretch of games is very important for us. You know, like we missed out on the Champions League, and some guys, missed out on a Gold Cup trophy. So I think we're a lot of guys are hungry for something big this year. We want to push for the Supporters Shield and the MLS Cup, and yeah, this next stretch really puts us in a good position for that. So it's very important.
Does the team need to, don't want to say regroup, but the last two MLS games haven't gone the way you want. Is this a time to try to get things back on track?
Yeah, of course. We've been missing players, and it's a long season where you could go back all the way from the loss from Chicago, where it's the international break. We missed guys, and we got a loss. And there's a lot of things during the MLS season where we have to adjust and adapt to, and yeah, we have to regroup and get that good feeling back. And today was just the start of it.
You referenced the Champions Cup and these very late goals that you kind of keep you into these matches. White and Blackman, both in two different games in Mexico tonight with Udvik. Is there something to do with maybe the immediacy of these cup competitions? Does that kind of just kind of force you to push to the very end, where it might be different in the MLS, where it's almost a war of attrition?
Uh, yes and no. I think you want to get a result in a cup match. You kind of have to get a result, Whereas in MLS, if you're away, you could push for a tie or something like that. But yeah, we could say we push harder to get a win, and we maybe stretch out the team or put more guys up at the end of the game to get a result. So yeah, today was a product of that, and we got the 3 points.
Jayden, with players coming back and almost sort of having the more full complement of squad, I mean, it's probably as important, would you say, that being together almost in training and being able to work together in training when you haven't had that for quite a number of weeks almost plays its part in being just as important as you go into the second half of the season?
Yeah, I'll say I agree. I think now it's a good time for us to really like regroup and train together again. And like for me, it's good and bad, you know, leaving the team and coming back in. But like if you look at Seba today, he was so intense in how he was pressing, and I think that's, you know, because he had a different environment before and came back. I think he's even better now, you know. So it's you know, and for me as well, like you're just more alert in certain instances. So I think you get a better player when they come back from national team just because they've been in a different environment. Everything's, I say, the game's much slower in MLS for us. So I think, yeah, it's a good moment now for us to regroup and really push for this next stretch.
Jim mentioned the Colorado game. Obviously, you're not going to be playing in that match. How do you reflect and look back on what happened in the LA game when you did kick the ball and then what Jesper said post-game, because he had some comments that he had to say about that?
Yeah, which is normal, but this is, it's a hats off to Jesper of how good of a coach he is and how good of a person he is. And I think his main goal coming here was to take the young players and to be able to coach them, and I think I'm a great product of that. And you know, I think in that instance, yes, I have to be smarter. You know, it wasn't a good showing of myself or my team or representation of my family or whatever it is, you know. And yeah, I think when it goes back to Jesper, he makes you learn from these things, you know. And he wasn't too hard on me. He knows that obviously I didn't want to do that, you know. And it's a learning experience, and I just have to thank him for that. And yeah, I just learn from it and move on. And when I look back at it now, it's funny, but yeah.